Every Big Ten team, every Big Ten game, week 6 is here. Let's do this. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about every single game, and then we will have our bold, fearless predictions, our Pigskin Picks coming up. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked on Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked on Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We always appreciate you. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below. We do this every day. That way you never miss a single episode. And if you could share, like, and follow, that would be great as well. And did you know you can hype YouTube videos? That'd be great as well. Let's chop it up. Today, we are brought to you by Mazda. Just like there's more to every player, more dedication, more attention to detail, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Stay tuned later in the episode for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward, Mazda Move and Be Move. So we're going to discuss the big games. We're going to go chronological, everything you need to know, and then we're going to cap it off with our fearless pigskin pick. So let's start it off right from the get-go. Wisconsin and 20th ranked Michigan at the Big House. Wisconsin has struggled its way to a 2-2 record. Michigan is 3-1. And this game will be the big noon kickoff game on Fox. So you can check that out on national TV. There'll be a lot of interest in this game as well. Now, Wisconsin has had problems, to say the least. Quarterback Billy Edwards was injured in week 1 with a twisted knee. He tried to go in their last game against Maryland, lasted a series, had to come out. Then they had a bye week. That came at a very good time for Luke Fickell's team. So Edwards has been rehabbing. He's still day-to-day. I'm not so sure. I've been looking. I've been following this. I don't know if he's going to be able to give it a go in the Big House. I know that sophomore Danny O'Neal, who's been playing, has been taking the first-team reps with the team. On top of that, the Badgers' offense has not been good. 117th in the country, passing 126, and they're going to have to run the ball. Except Michigan's run defense is top 10. They only give up 77.5 yards per game. And their pass rush is really good, while Wisconsin has allowed 13 sacks already. So this is going to be tough sledding for the Badgers. As I said, both teams are coming off a bye. And Sharon Moore is coming off the 2-game suspension. We haven't seen Sharon Moore in forever. So he's ready to go. Bryce Underwood looks like he's about to put together a complete breakout game. A little more running, a little more passing downfield. He's battle-tested in that he's had tough road games at Oklahoma and Nebraska already. Baptism under fire for the young freshman. Now, welcome back to the Big House. He should be ready to go. We'll have a prediction on this game at the end. 22nd-ranked Illinois, 4-1 at 2-2 Purdue. This is a noon game on the Big Ten Network as well. Now, Illinois has been interesting to say the least. They went into Bloomington a couple of weeks ago, got destroyed 63-10. And this was a top 10 team, Illinois was. Last week, they started clicking against USC, but they squandered a 2-score lead late, only to recapture the lead with a field goal as time expired. I mean, you talk about a nail-biter. Meanwhile, the Boilermakers, this is complete rebuild mode under first-year head coach Barry Odom. And I will point out, though, that this game last year went into overtime. It was 50-49. Illinois won, so I'm thinking anything can happen with this matchup. What about you? Let us know. Look, and I know this is a completely different Purdue team. It's a pretty similar Illinois team. A lot of returning players that remember that game last year, 50-49. So we'll see what happens with that one. We'll have our picks on that at the end as well. Well, all of them. We'll have the picks on all these games at the end. Now, I think a pretty intriguing game, and hear me out, okay? Number 7, Penn State, 3-1 at UCLA in the Rose Bowl. UCLA 0-4. This is a 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific game on CBS. Now, a couple things to watch out here for. Penn State. We all know what happened Saturday night. That was a heartbreaking, big-time game that they lost to Oregon in double overtime. My question is, how will Penn State rebound? How will they regroup? Look, I expect them to win this game. I'm not even going to kid around with that. But how are they going to look doing it? How are they going to look early? They're not going to have to worry about winning the big one here because UCLA is not ranked. UCLA's got its own problems. They haven't even led yet this season. Here we are in October, and they've already fired their coach. But it is a West Coast trip, time zones, jet lag, a lesser opponent. This is a classic letdown spot, given what they had to rise up to last Saturday night against Oregon. I'm expecting perhaps a sluggish start, even though Penn State will by far have way more talent on the football field. They'll be able to overcome it. They're going to win this game, make no doubt about it. But they'll have to do it without their linebacker, Tony Rojas. He has an unspecified injury, going to be out long-term, but not season ender. James Franklin always does this with his players and injuries. He's very tight-lipped. He doesn't give you any information unless it's a season-ending injury. That's pretty much his policy for privacy and also to keep the other teams guessing. But not having Rojas is going to be big. He leads the team in tackles for loss with 4.5. He's second in tackles with 25 already. But he's got Dom DeLuca, who is ready to step up. But again, the question here for this game for Penn State, how are they going to be emotionally coming off that game? And then they better get their act together, and I think they will. But then they're off to Iowa. That's a tough place. I mean, we all saw what Iowa did to Indiana last week. That was a squeaker. And then it really gets tough for Penn State because then they have to travel to number 1 Ohio State. Then they host number 8 Indiana. It's a tough section of the schedule once Penn State gets through this weekend against UCLA. So they're going to have to get one of those games, either Ohio State, which they don't. They have trouble with Ohio State, or Indiana to get back in that playoff picture. If they lose them both, granted, it would be, throw in the Oregon. That's 3 quality losses, but that might be too much for Penn State to overcome if they want any playoff hopes. So they got to get one of those 2 big ones down the stretch. You can't have any hiccups like at Iowa or anything like that along the way as well. Washington at 3-1, coming off their loss to Ohio State this weekend, is at Maryland, who is 4-0. Washington's got to travel all the way across the country. This is like one of the longest trips you could possibly make in the Big Ten. So that will be tough. Maryland at 4-0 has already matched its win total from last year. This game will be on at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on the Big Ten Network. Washington was the highest scoring team in the country going into last week, and then that elite Ohio State defense only gave up two field goals, no touchdowns scored, which is incredible considering the talent that Washington has on offense with Damon Williams Jr. If you haven't seen him play quarterback, he's exciting. Jonah Coleman is just the real deal at running back. Denzel Boston is a great, and I mean great, wide receiver. Like, you would hear more about Denzel Boston if we didn't talk about Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State all the time. So very good, a lot of talent. They're going to be looking to score some points. They got to travel all the way across the country to do it. So we'll see if that road trip affects them at all. Meanwhile, Malik Washington, he's the freshman quarterback from Maryland. He also is the real deal. So far this year, if you want to compare the 2 highly anticipated freshman quarterbacks in the Big Ten with Bryce Underwood and Malik Washington, right now Malik Washington has done better. I believe he's got 3 freshmen of the weeks already. I know he's got at least 2. I'm thinking it's 3 off the top of my head. He's got a couple of nice wide receivers, and Shalik Knotts and Octavian Smith Jr. And again, they're on a roll at 4-0, coming off a bye. Mike Locksley, some people said, hey, maybe this year he was in a little bit of trouble, but he's off to a good start here. Let's see what he can do moving forward. Meanwhile, Louisiana Monroe comes into Northwestern. Louisiana Monroe is 3-1. I'm not even going to pretend to tell you I know much about Louisiana Monroe. I don't watch Louisiana Monroe football. I don't. I know that each year they play 1 or 2 really, really good teams, kind of a sacrificial lamb, if you will. Northwestern is 2-2, and this will be at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on the Big Ten Network as well. Northwestern's coming off the win over UCLA last week. They scored on their first 3 drives. Boom, boom, boom. 17-0. And then they held on to win 17-14. That was the kind of game they had against UCLA. Quarterback Preston Stone has really improved since their opening week loss to Tulane. So again, we'll pick all these games in just a few moments. We're just warming up. We're previewing every single one. Want to give you everything you need to know here And then we'll cap it off with our Pigskin Picks. We still have a couple of big games to get to in just a minute. But first, I'm going to ask you to hit that subscribe button down below. We're averaging like 1,500 new subscribers a month. Thank you if you already have. If you haven't yet, get in the club. Be with us every day. Hit the subscribe button. And if you can also share, follow, and like, that helps us out as well. We have a website called talkbig10.com. That's with the number 10. All of our podcasts go there. If you missed any of our previews for all the games or any of our stories that we did this week, we do multiple podcasts every day. You can go back and find them for a second listen after we're done here today to get caught up. That's at talkbig10.com. Plus, we have links there if you want to do some Christmas shopping and buy some Big Ten shirts and hats and t-shirts from your favorite school, Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan, whoever it is. It's all right there. talkbig10.com. All right, I did mention we got a couple of more big games to talk about. They're the later games, late afternoon, and then the evening game around the Big Ten. We got Michigan State at Nebraska, big measuring stick game. And the night game on NBC could be a long night for Minnesota at Ohio State. Plus, we'll have our Pigskin Picks. All that's coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. This is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it, because these moments do more than just win. They push what's possible. They remind us to go that extra yard, shift into the extra gear, keep the game moving forward. That's right. And we have a lot of great examples of that in the Big Ten. And not so much moving the game forward, but just game ender, exclamation point, with Dylan Thieneman, the game-winning interception for the Oregon Ducks against Penn State in double overtime. Was that exciting or what? Just like driving a Mazda is exciting. Got all the attention to detail. You just feel different behind the wheel. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Hey, it's the weekend. It's coming. It's here. And it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks. You can save every time you order. And these players delivered when it mattered most, so let's break it down. I'm going to go with Elijah Surratt, the wide receiver at Indiana. They were in a fight at Iowa, and then he made a nice catch about 10 yards out and went another 49-yard touchdown with 1:33 to go to give the Hoosiers a lead at Iowa. Absolutely fantastic fourth quarter performance when the pressure was on. He absolutely delivered. And just like Elijah Surratt delivered for Indiana, DoorDash delivers on your Saturdays. So with DoorDash streaks, you save every Saturday that you order. Stack them up every Saturday. Stack up all season long. Just order every Saturday, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. Thanks for checking us out here on Locked On Big Ten. We're very excited about this upcoming weekend, and we are here for you every day or wherever you get your podcast. Thank you, everydayers, for joining us as well. Subscribe, share, follow, and like. That all helps us out right here. And don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. All right, a couple more games we got to get to here, and then we'll have our Pigskin Picks. So Michigan State is at Nebraska. Both teams come in at 3-1. And this game is at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific on FS1. So kind of a later, that midday kickoff slot, just a little bit later, 4 o'clock. This is a great quarterback matchup. Nebraska quarterback, Dylan Raiola, I think is as exciting as any quarterback in the Big Ten or the country. I love watching him play. And we talked about this week how he literally has the weight of the program on his shoulders and a lot of expectations this season. Meanwhile, on the other side, Michigan State quarterback Aiden Childs, has been very fun to watch his development. Played last year as a freshman, had to work through it, man, and learn not to turn the ball over. And he looks like so far this year, he has taken that next step. He's a very exciting quarterback, Aiden Childs for Michigan State. And shout out to him 2 weekends ago. You know, he went out there to USC. It was a tough game. USC with all of its weapons. They got close a couple times in each half, even pulled it close within a score in the second half. I thought he played very, very well in that game. They didn't come up with a win, but he's from there. They didn't recruit him. He went on a mission there. He had friends and family and all that. He played very well. Michigan State could not come up with the win, though. Now, if these two teams get in the red zone, count on them scoring. Nebraska scores 79% of the time they get in the red zone. Michigan State, an impressive 94% of the time. They score if they get in the red zone, so watch out for that. Couple of strengths and weaknesses with this game. And we detailed this game and previewed this game in more detail in yesterday's podcast. If you want to go back and check it out, if you're a Michigan State or Nebraska fan, for a second, listen when you're done here. But Michigan State's passing defense is the worst in the Big Ten. They've got some trouble. Meanwhile, we just talked about Nebraska's Dylan Raiola. In fact, they have the number 2 passing attack in the entire country. So they're going to want to be throwing the ball downfield. Meanwhile, Michigan's passing defense, the Nebraska run defense is really bad. Nebraska's run defense is the worst in the Big Ten. And Michigan State can run the ball. I mean, they're not great. They're not bad. Average about 154 yards per game. I think they can get that a little closer to 200 against Nebraska. If they can raise that number, they can hang in this game. So that's something to look at. Meanwhile, we got one more game to talk about. And it's the night game. First of all, hey, congrats to Ohio State, right? The fans have been clamoring for a nighttime, primetime, nationally televised game with all the electricity. Look, that's a great home field advantage at Ohio Stadium at any time of day. But you put it at night with the excitement, people lubed up, ready to go, put on national TV. I mean, you saw how they can take that home field advantage up to an extra notch. We saw it in the playoff game against Tennessee. The problem, according to Ohio State, is, look, they're so good and they're so popular that they frequently get picked by the networks for day games. Fox and the Big Ten contract, their number one priority is big noon. So a lot of noon kickoffs for Ohio State. Their fans want a primetime game. They've got it. Now, the opponent, Minnesota. This is going to be a tough night for PJ Fleck and the Golden Gophers. So this is 7:30 on NBC. Minnesota likes to run the ball, but their top 2 running backs have been hurt. Darius Taylor, who we're a big fan of, out of Detroit, he's been battling a hamstring. And then another running back, AJ Turner, he got hurt in the California game a few weeks ago. He's out for the year. So they've really had to rely heavily on freshman quarterback Drake Lindsey. He's leading the way. Had a nice game last week, by the way. Had 3 touchdown passes versus Rutgers. It's a lot to ask for a freshman quarterback to go into Ohio State and deliver a game like that, like he had last week. Another weapon that Minnesota has is Coy Parrish. He's a great tackler, safety, got a nose for the ball, has the ability to get some interceptions. Julian's saying we'll see how the young quarterback does. He's been doing pretty well. He's only had like 1 game with a couple of interceptions, but I think he's done a great job as the starter for the Buckeyes this year. But Coy Parrish will be back there looking for an interception. He also plays receiver. He also returns kicks. He's a one-man show, and they're going to need a big game out of him for the Gophers on Saturday night. Meanwhile, again, Julian Sain has an embarrassment of riches of weapons to choose from. Jeremiah Smith. A couple of running backs have really stepped up, and CJ Donaldson, of course, Bo Jackson, just to name a few. They got a nice tight end, the kid that transferred in from Purdue last year. So, I mean, who do you stop? Who do you say, all right, Minnesota defense, who are we going to stop on Ohio State on their offense? It's tough. It's tough to decide, go in with a game plan and then execute it. Meanwhile, Matt Patricia's defense has been elite. Again, this is another topic we did an entire podcast on earlier this week. If you Buckeye fans want to go find it for a second listen after this, you might want to check that out. I argue that they're even better than the defense they had last year. It's the number 1 scoring defense in the country. They're only giving up 5.5 points per game. And again, you throw that defense out there against a freshman quarterback in Minnesota, night game at Ohio State. It's going to be a tough night. Tough night for Minnesota, I think. But we'll give our actual prediction in a minute because we'll have our Pigskin Picks coming up in just a minute. By the way, if you are new, We always close out with an exciting feature. It's one of many things that sets us apart from other podcasts out there. Like every Monday, we always do my top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. It's a great way to go through all the teams and all the stars and what they did. Tuesdays, we do Tuesday tweets. We're on a Twitter, X at Talk Big Ten, number 10. Find us out there. Send me something. I'll put it on the show on Tuesdays. We'll give you a shout out. Also, Wednesdays, we power rank. This time of year, we power rank the Big Ten standings as we see them, 1 through 18. You can always check in on that and see where we ranked your teams. A little different than the standings. We put some thought into this. Thursdays, we always take a look at the Big Ten Network. Even though we're not affiliated with them, we obviously have similar interests. And I always pick out their Big Ten classics and their live programming. They got a doubleheader of Big Ten football this weekend. We'll let you know. We spell it all out. We did that in yesterday's podcast as well. But on Fridays, we go into the weekend. We put everything on the line, and we do it with our Pigskin Picks. That's coming up next. Every Big Ten team, every Big Ten game. That's next here on Locked On Big Ten. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus. It is powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors, or all the above, frankly. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools to help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. And you'll love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights for you. That's a big deal right there, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. That's spell it out, O-N-E, onepeloton.com. All right, it's time for our Pigskin Picks. This is where we go on the record for our weekend games here across the Big Ten, every single one. If you're on audio only, I'm going to put them up on screen with the point spreads and the point totals. Some of you listening on Apple or Spotify, for example, no problem. We'll describe everything that is going on in detail here. All right, so let's take a look at it here. We're going to start it off with this Wisconsin game at Michigan. Michigan is a 17.5-point favorite, and the number is 43.5. This is going to be a lopsided game. Again, I always hesitate on Michigan covering and going over because they run the ball a lot. That chews up time. That's less plays, less reps, and sometimes they don't cover. However, I think Michigan was starting to put some things together in the Nebraska game. They've got Sharon Moore back at coach, and they've had a bye week. So is Wisconsin, but Michigan's had a bye week to fine-tune this. It's a home game, and Wisconsin, I don't know if more practice and having a bye week is going to make them any better. I think the wheels have fallen off. I think they're in a stretch of their schedule. They may not recover. I am looking for Michigan to win this game, to cover the 17.5, and they will be largely responsible for this number going over 43.5. So a little bit of a different philosophy for me this weekend for Michigan. Meanwhile, Illinois is at Purdue. Illinois is a 9.5-point favorite, and the number is 55.5. Illinois got their offense moving last week, put a lot of points on the board in the last-second win against USC. I expect Purdue to hang tough for a while here. I don't expect a repeat of last year, the 50-49 game. I think Illinois will win this game and cover the 9.5, win by a couple of scores, and I think this number will go over the number. I think Purdue will score some, but Illinois is going to score a lot, and this game will go over the 55.5. All right, here's one that could be tricky for just a little bit. Penn State at UCLA. Penn State is a 25.5-point favorite, and the number is 49.5. I think Penn State may start out slowly the first series. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe they'll go march down the field and score a touchdown. If they do that, if they march down the opening drive and they show that they have shaken off last week, and then it's going to be a super long day in the Rose Bowl for UCLA. If they start out sluggish, I do think they will snap out of it fairly early and start putting points on the board. So I do think Penn State will cover. This is dangerous because their previous games, I don't think they have scored as many points as they should. So I'm going to cautiously take the over because I think UCLA is just in trouble. So take Penn State to cover the 25.5, and they'll fly past this number at 49.5. I think Penn State gets into the 40s by themselves in this game. Washington is at Maryland. Washington's a 6.5-point favorite. I've been talking up Washington all season long, but I've also been talking up Maryland. The number's 54.5. First of all, let's work backward. This number's going over 54.5. I think both of these teams are going to put up some points. I think it's going to be an air show. And I tell you what, you know what's stuck in my mind? Was it last year that, it was last year that Washington traveled across the country to Rutgers and just looked awful. Couldn't get it together. I think this trip is going to affect Washington. I got a lot of high hopes for the Huskies this season. I'm going to take Maryland. I'm going to take the underdog in this game. Maryland at plus 6.5. And as I said, fly past the over on this number. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the games on the board. I told you I don't know much about Louisiana Monroe, but here's how this game is going to go. Northwestern is going to score enough to cover the 11.5. I don't think Louisiana Monroe is going to score much at all, but I don't think Northwestern gets close to the 40.5 by themselves. So here's the deal. We'll take Northwestern to win, to cover the 11.5. They'll win by at least a couple touchdowns. I'm going to take the under. We're bold and fearless here. I'm going to take the under. That's a low number, 40.5, but I think Northwestern does all the scoring here and Louisiana Monroe does not. So give me the under in this game. Now, the Michigan State game at Nebraska. I've been kind of waffling, thinking about this game all week. It's a tough one. It's because I think Michigan State's going to show up, and I think they're going to play well. What I think Raiola has a good second half, and they start to pull away just enough to win this game by 14 points. That means they cover the 11.5. The question goes with the total. I think this game sneaks over 50 between the two of them. And so I would take the over. So Nebraska to win, to cover late. You may be nervous in the first half. I think it'll be close in the first half. Nebraska will then eke out or start eking forward and building a lead here by a couple of scores. So they cover and take the over. Meanwhile, Minnesota at Ohio State, 23.5. Actually, I was surprised at this number. I thought it was low. I think Ohio State wins this game by at least 4 touchdowns, and therefore the question is the over-under. Because 45.5, Minnesota's defense. Can Minnesota's defense score on Ohio State? We just saw Washington. Washington was at home, couldn't even score a touchdown. Now Minnesota's got a freshman quarterback. That's the toughest over/under on the board. But we're fearless. We are fearless. All right, I think Ohio State will score at least 45 points in this game. So we'll take the over. The question is, does Minnesota score a touchdown, settle for field goals? Because I think Washington's a lot better than Minnesota, and they struggle to do it. So and this one's at Ohio State. So I don't know. What are we looking 45-3, 45-7, something like that. So Ohio State wins, covers easily, and this number goes past the over the top based on the strength of Ohio State. There you go. We have our bold, fearless predictions in the books. We're ready to go for the weekend. We're very excited about it. Don't forget, this weekend, we are going to do something a little different than what we normally do because, we go live on Saturdays. We're going to go live. I'm going to give you a hard time. We're going to go live at 7:15. 7:15 Eastern, 4:15 Pacific. Even if the Michigan State-Nebraska game's not over, our plan is to have it end while we're on live. You get my immediate real-time reaction. I get your immediate real-time reaction in the comment section, and then we'll wind it down about the time that Minnesota and Ohio State kick off there. We're gonna shoehorn this in. We're going to look forward to it, and we'll cover all the other teams that we just talked about, all of them, and we'll recap them throughout the day in addition to give you our insight as to what is going on in the Michigan State-Nebraska game while we're on, and of course, final preview of Minnesota at Ohio State. So please join us. Mark your calendars for that. We always appreciate that. Also, if you can hit that subscribe button before you go, that'd be great. That way you'll never miss a single episode. If you could go back and check out a second episode, we talked about a lot of these games earlier this week on Locked On Big Ten. You can find it at our website, talkbig10.com. We're also on Twitter at talkbig10.com. But yeah, if you could subscribe, that would be fantastic. Also, Locked On has a great effort for you college football fans. Locked On and Fire TV present the college football kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation along with two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and then all of our Locked On experts give you their thoughts going into the games. You got some complete insight to all these games every single weekend. It's the college football preview that only Locked On can do. Catch the college football kickoff every Thursday from Locked On and Fire TV. All right, I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go? Let's do this, and let's have a great weekend. We'll talk to you Saturday Night Live on Saturday. And we'll discuss everything that's going on. Have a great time. In the meantime, I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten. We'll see you tomorrow.